Let me get to Fox News Radio's Jared Halpern right now. Jared, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. You're just taking a look at these down ticket races right now in the, 13 days, 14 days we have left?
14. But early voting is underway in many of them.
Yeah, somebody said
so every day is election day from here on out.
Yeah, that's a good point. Somebody said that they thought that, what did I see? In some states, 60% of the votes may be cast before Election Day.
Yeah, I mean, listen, early voting is becoming more and more popular. You're seeing states expand it, in many cases, upwards of 2 weeks, maybe more, longer. And the idea is obviously to get people, every opportunity to vote, other than just Election Day. Now, from a campaign standpoint, that can be good. You can have a rally and then get people right to the polling place. You'll see that in places like Florida today, Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. And those votes are in the bag, right? You don't have to worry about those. You bank those votes. And so I guess the flip side of it, if you're a voter that's truly undecided, is, we've had how many October surprises, and maybe one or two more are on the way.
Sure, yeah, we don't know that yet. I saw that in Florida, in Texas yesterday, people waited in line 2.5 hours
That's
to vote.
That's remarkable, isn't it? I mean, you're used to seeing that on Election Day, but I think yesterday is that the day early voting started in Texas?
I had the story here. Let me see.
Not been on long.
Yeah, the first day.
That's remarkable to have people lined up that long, so far ahead of election. Now, obviously, Democrats think that that's good news for them. Texas is a unique state because you don't actually register with a party.
Okay.
So in some states that have early voting, you can kind of get a sense on if it's Democrats or now. Obviously, you don't know who they're voting for, but you know, in many cases, are Republicans voting, are Democrats voting? In Texas, that's not the case. So you're kind of just left with your own, internal polling as to whether or not you think the heavy early voting favors you or not.
We're talking to Jared Halpern from Fox News Fox News Radio, I should say. Jared, when you look at the map now, I know that there's been talk of Democrats still hoping that they can win back the Senate. The race here in Missouri is particularly close. We're expecting some new state numbers tomorrow, in fact, on this race between Roy Blunt and Jason Kander.
Yeah, I think Missouri is an interesting race to me. I don't think it was viewed as necessarily a swing state that long ago.
Not at all. No.
The way that it is now, at least in the Senate race. I wonder how much of that is sort of a double buzzsaw, perhaps, for Senator Blunt, who obviously is dealing with the same things that other Republicans are dealing with, and that's the top of the ticket and how to respond to that, right? But as a member of Republican leadership, that has been something that has been targeted by people as well, and you've seen leadership types face sort of an onslaught of opposition, even from within their own party. I think Missouri is a race to watch, and how much of that is ticket splitting. In other words, Donald Trump wins the state by, several points, and the Blunt-Kander race is much closer. What does that mean?
Yeah, I don't understand that. And among our local delegation here, our Congresswoman Ann Wagner pulled her endorsement of Donald Trump.
Right.
Senator Blunt did not.
Did not.
So you would think that if Trump's going to win the state,
with that establishment or sort of leadership title.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, you can see obviously the ways that Kevin McCarthy has handled Donald Trump. He has supported him in a way that goes above and beyond what you've seen from House Speaker Paul Ryan. But both of them have constituencies they have to answer for. Part of that has to do with the popularity of the top of the ticket. And that's true, by the way, of every senator running for re-election. The way that Kelly Ayotte runs her race is going to be different than the way that Roy Blunt runs his race, the way that Mark Kirk runs his race in Illinois, or the way that Ron Johnson runs his race in Wisconsin, right? I mean, you sort of and you'll hear that from Senator McConnell as well. One of the last things he said before they went on recess describing the Republican chances to hold the Senate was that they were in a knife fight in a phone booth.
That close, huh?
A good Mitch McConnell line for the biographies. But his point is this: remember 2 years ago when the Senate, when the Republicans took over the Senate. Why was that? Well, in large measure, it's because Democrats were defending a lot more seats than Republicans were in a lot more tough states to hold. Well, that's the case for Republicans this year. They have to defend seats in places like Illinois, in places like Wisconsin and New Hampshire, these swing states, Florida to a certain extent, Ohio to a certain extent. that is tougher to do. 2 years from now, Republicans will be back with their foot on the pedal. It will be Democrats who, again, are defending a lot more states than Republicans in some difficult states to hold.
Interesting. The damage could be done by then.
I don't think anybody believes that either side's going to walk away after the election with 60 votes in the Senate. So that's the magical number. What I'm interested in seeing is after the dust settles here November 8th, and we now know what the makeup of the House and the Senate will be and who the president-elect is, how does that change the strategy for, say, that lame duck session? If things go badly for Republicans up and down the ticket, do they try and get things done as best they can before the new Congress, the new president takes over? Conversely, if things go really well for Republicans up and down the ticket, do they sit on their hands for a large measure of that lame duck and try and get big things done once they have all their pieces in place?
Yeah, good question. Jared Halpern of Fox News Radio, thanks for your time.
Sure thing.
Yep, good conversation. Appreciate that.